position. A controversy erupted over this exchange almost immediately, at first behind closed doors and then publicly. But more important was the decade to follow, when these three words took on far-reaching new meanings. Gorbachev did let his part of Germany go, but along the way, Washington rethought its options, not least after the Soviet Union's collapse in December 1991. The United States realized it could not only win big, but win bigger. Not 1 inch of territory need be off-limits to NATO. Washington could lead the alliance in opening a path for large numbers of eager new members to join. In the 1990s, it did just that, resulting by March 12, 1999, in enlargement across Central and Eastern Europe and to the Polish-Russian border. But on December 31st of that year, Vladimir Putin rose to the top in Moscow. As NATO kept expanding, he ultimately decided to use violence in an effort to ensure that not 1 inch more of territory would join. The game of moving by inches resulted in a stalemate. Between the fall of the wall and the rise of Putin, animosity between Moscow and Washington over NATO's future became central to the making of a post-Cold War political order that looked much like its Cold War predecessor, and to the unmaking of hopes for cooperation from Vancouver to Vladivostok. To show how and why, this book examines the conflict between Russia and America against the backdrop of the sprawling, unpredictable landscape of the 1990s. That decade witnessed the astonishing overnight collapse of an empire, yielding a host of new Eurasian states, produced visionary leaders, some rising from prisons to presidencies, earning Nobel Prizes and global admiration, and redefined the realm of the possible for democratization, disarmament, market economies, and the tenets of liberal international order. But it also opened the door to new expressions of authoritarianism, de-democratization, and ethnic cleansing. Telling the unruly history of the 90s as a narrative is hard but necessary. Without a story to follow, the odds of getting from the beginning to the end of the list of actors, concepts, and locales approaches zero. This book uses the fight over NATO expansion as its through line. It tells the story not of the alliance itself, but of the strategic choices that American and Russian leaders made during their decade-long conflict over the start of its enlargement to Central and Eastern Europe, and of the cumulative weight of those choices on today's world. The book begins with a focus on the 1989 contest over the future of divided Germany, which, for Washington, swiftly turned into a struggle to preserve the Atlantic Alliance. Then, widening its field of view, the book examines how American success produced opportunities for the courageous leaders of new European democracies, but also challenges for the West's relationship with former Soviet republics, most notably for Western efforts to cure, as one American Defense Secretary memorably put it, their nuclear hangover. Widening still more, the book shows how the way expansion was implemented brought a loss of options for 21st century transatlantic relations. Throughout, the book asks how and why U.S. Presidents George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton, together with their European contemporaries Tony Blair, Jacques Chirac, Václav Havel, Helmut Kohl, John Major, François Mitterrand, Gerhard Schroeder, Margaret Thatcher, and Lech Walesa, plus Baltic leaders and NATO Secretaries General Manfred Wörner and Javier Solana, launched the enlargement that eventually took the alliance to 30 nations. This accomplishment represented a major success for American strategists. It saved many, though not all, of the new post-Cold War democracies from life in a security gray zone between East and West. With Washington's help, over 100 million Central and Eastern Europeans enjoyed well-deserved success in their efforts to become NATO allies. And as it enlarged, the alliance helped to quell bloody conflicts in the Balkans. Today, NATO stretches from North America, Iceland, and Greenland to the United Kingdom, Europe,